Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and I have great news from iniBuilds. The latest version of the A350, version 1.0.8, has just been released for Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024. Now this version comes with quite a couple of improvements, and if you want to read the entire changelog, you can do that through the link in the video description below. Just to give you an idea of how large that changelog actually is, just have a look at this forum post over here, and you can find a long list of systems, a long list of graphics and sounds that have seen updates. But let's go over some of the most important changes that I find within this update. Now, first of all, we've got improvements to the step climb logic, and that one actually doesn't tell us too much over here, but basically what's been added to the aircraft is that you can add more step climbs manually or import them automatically from SimBrief, and those step climbs enable the aircraft to basically fly itself all over the place. So if we go into the OIS and into the options menu down here, then we have the automatic step climb option within the simulation options, so auto step climb, and you now have a much larger number of step climbs that you can enter down in your FMS for your aircraft to follow, so that if you do one of those super long haul flights like 14-18 hours, then you can now enter them all on the ground already, and then, well, leave your computer behind for the aircraft to follow those. Now, the OIS is a very good point because there has been more. So if you go to the flight ops menu page, then the first thing that you are going to see is probably this flight ops clear turnaround button, which basically is going to remove all of your previous entries from your previous flight so that you can start with a fresh OIS for your upcoming flight. Now, let's go ahead and have a look into the next new addition to the aircraft, and that is enhancements to the ECAM logic. Now, the ECAM is probably one of the most complex features in the Airbus A350 overall, and it previously had quite a couple of failures available already, and now they've done a huge overhaul and included more failures. Most notably, they have added electrical and flight control failures, and they have regrouped the failures that are available into the different ATA chapters that you would find in the maintenance manuals. Now, to be completely honest, this is something that flight simmers do like to see, but it is also something where I personally would say that's engineering stuff that's not all that important for pilots, because to be completely honest, yes, the MEL does group them by those chapters, but I look it up by name, not by chapter numbers. But anyway, let's have a look into how those chapters look like within our simulator. So if you go into the situations menu on the OIS, then you have those situations that you already know about, but within the failures group you can now see that they are regrouped by their chapter. And over here they also include the name, which is pretty useful. And you also have the ability to reset all failures in one place right up here. Well, and down here you now have a good load of electrical failures that I can absolutely recommend you to play with, because those electrical failures in Airbuses are just super interesting. In one of my recent recurrent simulators on the Airbus A330, we basically just failed a single DC bus bar. So try, for example, your DC1 bus fault or the DC2 bus fault, and the amount of subsequent failures that you are going to get is absolutely incredible. And just to shed a little bit of light into some of the things that can happen to you if you do such a bus failure, I'll just activate DC bus 2 failure over here. The amount of things that are going to happen to you, and especially the amount of stuff that you're eventually going to find within your status page and within your inoperative systems list, is just really absolutely amazing. So displayed on the next status page in op system, that already tells you that there's going to be a lot of stuff in there. So if we hit that, take a look at that. Yep, that's a lot of stuff that's no longer working. Now, on the A330, there is one especially nicely hidden thing, where somewhere down in the amount of inoperative systems it will tell you 2 tons of fuel per tank unusable. And first of all, you're going to find that within the huge list of inoperative systems. And then you're going to make a decision, because 2 tons per tank, that is quite a lot. Alright, so that's just an example of those failures. And apart from adding new electrical failures, which now are quite a lot, you also have quite a lot of additional flight control failures now, especially the flap failures and the slat failures. I recently had a slat system fault in one of my flights. Wasn't a big thing, as it was only a single system, so they were slow, but we didn't really notice it when extending them anyway. And if you fail both of them, then you can get some very interesting results if you either have no slats available or no flaps available, and I will absolutely demonstrate one of those for you in a future video, probably the flaps malfunction here, since that's one of the most interesting ones, because the flaps are responsible for keeping your aircraft's pitch low on approach. And if you fail the flaps, chances are you're going to fly an approach with like 7.5 to 8 degrees of pitch or so. Makes it quite interesting with the tail strike angle at 12 degrees. So that's quite an interesting one to fly. Alright, so having dealt with those, there are, as mentioned, a lot of different malfunctions that you've got available in the changelog that have been fixed. And just one thing that I notice over here is the incorrect weather predictive wind shear system on memo with the engines off. Yep, that was absolutely a problem. That's indicating to the pilot that the weather radar is running while you're at the gate, which is absolutely not healthy for anyone in front of the aircraft. So that's pretty good stuff. And apart from that, a lot of quality of life things in here and a lot of general fixes and updates, which I do really appreciate and which just add to the overall quality of life for the aircraft. Well, and that's the version 1.0.8 for you guys. Do let me know your first experience with this new version. Do let me know, especially if you're in Flight Simulator 2020, how you like all those visual updates that have been done to the FS 2020 version over here. And overall, let me know your experience with the aircraft. I personally do absolutely enjoy it. And I'm really happy to see that the A350 is getting those updates. But for now, that's it from my side. So thank you very much for watching. I do hope you found this one interesting. Leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing on the channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.